What's up, kings and queens? It's your boy Dan from Daft Previews, and I'm feeling 99%, and I'm a COVID survivor, baby. Speaking of surviving, yesterday, 0.7 units in the profit. I can't believe it. Our first three picks lost, and then we swept the board from there. So, in the end of the day, we survived. Positive, baby. Now, if it's your first time watching these videos, what I do is I share Outlier. I go through all my favorite bets. I tell you what I like and why I like them. And then in the end, I have a pinned comment with my final picks if you do choose to follow me. I do encourage you to like and subscribe to the channel. We're close to our goal of 6,000 subscribers. Now, if you want to see some juicy picks, let's go. So we're kicking it off with the Orlando Magic versus the Charlotte Hornets. Firstly, the Charlotte Hornets do have a lot of players who are game time decisions at the moment, but a lot of them are expected to play. Meachik, Miller, Bridges, Richards, and Grant Williams. Goddamn, there's a lot of them, but a lot of them are expected to play. I'd probably say Nick Richards, probably the only one who's 50-50, but I ain't betting on him anyway. So the first lean that I do have to share with you is this one for Wendell Carter Jr. It's his assist prop. He's got an excellent hit rate. I'm not sure if I'm going to take it because of the odds, but I want to share it with you anyway. His line's at 1.5. He's got a difficult matchup in terms of positionally, but overall, Charlotte Hornets do allow the fourth most assists in the NBA. Wendell Carter Jr. has covered this line in 8 of his last 10, averaging 2.6 assists per game. And in head-to-head matchups, he's covered this 5 out of his last 6 games against the Hornets, averaging 2.8 units. Could be a good play for your parlays. I'll leave it up to you. The next lean I have is for Vasily Meachik. We're looking at his points and assists over 17.5 at minus 110 odds. I love that. Now, he's covered this line in 7 of his last 10, averaging 19.9 points plus assists per game. The matchup, if you look at it, it is somewhat difficult, but the Magic are a great defensive team. The worst positions they are defending, point guards and small forwards. So Meachik has a pretty decent matchup, I guess you could say. In head-to-head matchups, he's covered this both times against the Magic this season. 25 and 21 points plus assists for 17.5. With these stats and this recent form, pretty confident I'm going to be taking this one. Now, a high-value single that I'm considering taking is also for Meachik, but I'm looking at his assist line. So his regular line's at 5.5. I'm considering playing it at 7.5 plus 230. Now, what you can see is he's covered this in 4 consecutive games. In these last 4 consecutive games, his potential assists have skyrocketed through the roof. The only concern that I do have on this one, he struggled getting assists against Orlando last time. 4-1 in his last 2 games against them. Where he did destroy them was scoring the ball, but I don't know if his role has recently changed, which is why on the initial pick, I'll probably take his points plus his assists. If we're looking at a single bet and you want to chase some value, for him to get a lot of assists, it suits the current trend at the moment. That's what I'm loving for the first game. Let's jump into the OKC Thunder versus the Indiana Pacers. Miles Turner is a game time decision in this one. I think SGA is a game time decision, or he's not going to play, similar with J-Dub. So I'm pretty sure they're going to be running without those two. So for this particular game, there's no single bets. I'm really loving at the moment, to be honest. But there is a high-value single play that I'm considering taking, and it's for Pascal Siakam. I've got to see whether I can get this line. It's an alternate line. I'd probably have to take it closer to the game, but this is what I'm thinking about. And I'm looking at his rebounds prop. So his regular line in this game is 8.5. He's hit this in 6 out of his last 10. I mean, he does have a good matchup, right? OKC, not a great rebounding team, but I'm not loving the over 8.5, especially for those odds. But what I can fuck around with is over 10.5 rebounds. So for him to get 11 rebounds, now that only shifts the odds a lot. But in terms of his recent form, he's covered this in 5 out of his last 10 games. He's got a good matchup. And in his last game up against OKC, he had 11 boards. So OKC missing 2 of their top scorers in this game. Chances are they don't shoot at a very high percentage. Miles Turner is going to have his hands full with Chet Holmgren. So Pascal Siakam should be able to sneak some easy boards in this game. So I don't mind the over 10.5. The next game is the Portland Trailblazers versus the Washington Wizards. I think the main players to look out for here is Denny Avdia as a game time decision, as well as Rashawn Holmes. Tyus Jones out, Kyle Kuzma out, Bagley out. So a lot of the performers you can rely on for the Washington Wizards most likely aren't going to be there. But I do have one player in mind that I do like for this game. I did take Jabari Smith not long ago, but the sportsbooks have reacted to his recent performance very well, and those lines have gotten quite sharp. So I'm going back to the well. These are 2 players that have served me quite well when he has the right matchup. So let's talk about it. The first one that I want to talk through, let's talk about his rebound prop. So I like the over 12.5 rebounds. So he's got an excellent matchup here. The Washington Wizards allow the most rebounds to centers on the season. DeAndre Ayton averaging 13.3 rebounds per game in his last 10. He's covered this line 6 times. One reason why I love this play is he just came up against the Charlotte Hornets. Now, they allow the second most rebounds to centers, and he had 16 boards. And if we have a look at his historical performance against this team, he had 16 boards in his last game against the Washington Wizards in December. So the Wizards were shit then, and they're still shit now. So DeAndre Ayton to get some boards, I am absolutely loving that. Minus 135. I'm going to have to do some line shopping. I'm pretty sure I can find better odds than that. The other play that I like, this is something that I've been taking quite often when he has the right matchup, and this is DeAndre Ayton over 6.5 points in the first quarter. Now, he's covered this in 7 out of his last 10 games, averaging 7.2 points. In the first quarter, the Wizards allow the second most points to centers on the season. In his last matchup against them, he did score 6 points in that game, though. So only playing 8.3 minutes. Over his last 10, he's seen close to 10 minutes a night. What I do like about this, DeAndre Ayton takes about 6 shots per game in the first quarter. We need him to cash 3 plus a free throw or something like that. Sometimes he takes 7 or 8, depending on the matchup, but he's got a great matchup. This has been a very reliable bet for me since DeAndre Ayton's starting to figure out how to play basketball again, and I'm pretty confident it's going to be a play that I take once more. Jumping into the next game, it's the Sacramento Kings versus the Boston Celtics. Now, there's not many markets available at the moment, only 6 players on the board, and that's because Derek White and Jaylen Brown are game time decisions in this one. So I know Derek White, I think it's back spasms. That's what slowed him down in his last game. And Jaylen Brown probably has a sore vagina or something. I didn't check that, but I wasn't too interested in betting on Jaylen Brown. Anyway, I'm really interested in betting on Jason Tatum in this game, but I don't know what his lines are going to look like. So I'll have to get on that closer to the game. But there are 3 players that I'm interested in looking at. So the very first one is Domantas Sabonis. So the first one that I'm considering is his first quarter assist prop. So I like this for a few reasons. One, the odds are great. Plus 125. You're getting plus money for Domantas Sabonis to get 3 assists in the first quarter. He's covered this in 7 out of his last 10 games. 6 out of his last 7 games, he's covered this line very well. No Malik Monk, more playmaking duties for Sabonis. In head-to-head matchups, he's covered this in his last 2 games against the Boston Celtics with 5 and 4 assists in the first quarter. So very confident I'm going to take this play. I might even see if I could take maybe over 3.5, see what type of odds I get there, because this man has been delivering early. This is a road game for the Sacramento Kings, and I'm not worried about him on the road, but Boston at home can be an absolute beast, but their playoff positions all but sewn up. I don't think they're coming with the same energy for this particular game. So Sabonis in the first quarter, I am liking that. Another pick that I'm liking for Sabonis is for his points and his rebound prop. So that line is at 31.5. And before you think to yourself, it's like, but most of that graph is red. Well, yeah, I'm actually thinking of taking the under. Under 31.5 points and rebounds for Domantas Sabonis. Now, the under for him has cashed in 7 out of his last 10 games. He's got a difficult matchup. The Celtics allow the second fewest rebounds to centers on the season. They allow the 12th fewest points. He hasn't been scoring the ball very well as of late. And if you look at head-to-head matchups, his last 3 games against the Boston Celtics, 28, 29, and 23 points plus rebounds, averaging 26.6 in those games. So, yeah, I'm looking to take the under in his points and rebounds and take the over in his first quarter assists. Because if you watch the box scores as closely as I do, if you watch his first quarters, you're thinking, shit, he's going to get another triple-double. He's going to get another triple-double. Then towards the end of the game, as the teams adjust, definitely slows down. But in the first quarter, this man gets busy. So, yeah, I'm liking that. And then the other player that I'm looking at, it's the first time I've ever bet on him, but this is what I'm thinking. I don't mind Keon Ellis over 1.5 first quarter points. Now, I need to research this a little bit further. He's relatively new to the starting lineup, but no Monk. So that kind of supports the cause. Over his last 10 games, he's playing 7.6 minutes in the first quarter. I do need to check his activity to see how many shots he's taking, but you only need him to make 1. Now, he's covered this line in 8 of his last 10 games, which is great. He does have a difficult matchup here, but Derek White is banged up. So the matchup may not be as difficult as we once thought. And in head-to-head matchups, he scored 6 points in the first quarter when they last matched up in December. So taking Keon Ellis for maybe 3.5 and 4.5 as a first quarter ladder could be quite profitable, because I think those odds could be juicy. And if Domantas Sabonis are going to be diamond up in that first quarter, it correlates very well to Keon Ellis. So it could be something I put together and try to get rich from. Who knows? But that's one play that I'm strongly considering at the moment, but I'll research that a little bit further. Jumping into the next game, it's the Houston Rockets versus the Miami Heat. So Thompson for the Rockets is a game time decision, and there's a chance that Tyler Hero could be making his return in this game. So I've got no picks on the Miami Heat players at all, because if Hero plays, that kind of fucks everything up for all of them. But I do have one player that I do like, and this is a player that I've been considering taking for quite some time now, and it's on my man Jalen Green. What I am looking at here is his assist props. I've been watching this quite closely, especially since the first game. He had a big assist game, and you'll see it on this graph. I'll show it to you. So his line's at 4.5. I think this line will move to 5.5 by the time the game starts. He's covered this now in 5 consecutive games. All right. Now, when he first had this 7 assist game, I thought, wow, that's really interesting because his potential assists all of a sudden skyrocketed. Check that out. 18 potential assists in that game. And I thought, yeah, that's only one game. So let's just watch it a little bit more. Then he came up against the Utah Jazz and recorded 6. And I was like, and then his potential assists went down to 13. And I thought, well, the Utah Jazz allow the most assists to everyone. So I was like, maybe it's not ready. I'm not ready to hop on just yet. Then he came up against the Dallas Mavericks, had 5 assists there, despite the Houston Rockets getting blown out. But then Dallas, that's a good matchup for shooting guards. Then he came up against the Minnesota Timberwolves, and this is when I was like, I want to take the bet now, but Minnesota Timberwolves is a very difficult matchup to get assists on because of how great they are defensively. Jalen Green still delivers with 6, and I thought, fuck it, I'm going to bet on him now. Then the Houston Rockets thing came, and I had it as a lean, and for some reason I still didn't bet it. And then he cashed 7 assists, and I thought, fuck it, I'm getting on Jalen Green. I don't care who he plays next. And he happens to be playing the Miami Heat. So the Miami Heat, they allow the 9th most assists to shooting guards on the season. In the last 30 days, they allow the 6th most assists to shooting guards. So it's only getting worse. I looked at their last 5 games, and in the last 5 games, the starting shooting guard playing against the Miami Heat has covered their line in 4 times. So 4 out of the 5 starting shooting guards they played against, they all covered their assist line in the last 5 games. So, yeah, this is the play that I'm definitely liking. I'm pretty sure it's going to move to 5.5, and I still would take it at 5.5. But at 5.5, you better be getting plus money for it. That's what I'm going to say. So yeah, that's the only play in this game that I'm considering taking. Well, I am going to take it. Let's not lie. Pumping the brakes real quick. It wasn't too long ago that I spoke to you guys about a ladder challenge. I've read the comments, and a lot of you guys are really interested for that. So have I got something for you? So running up a challenge. I'm going to have another YouTube video or a YouTube short that's going to explain the whole challenge, how you can participate, because I've also got a giveaway in it as well. But ultimately looking to turn $100 into $10,000 in 5 days. So be sure to check that video out. Follow the instructions if you want to be part of the giveaway. Pretty juicy prize. It's not a bad prize for clicking a few buttons, to be honest. But I do hope you guys enjoy it. So I'll hopefully have a link, a banner, and something in the video description. You'll be able to find it. Trust me. I'll make sure it's somewhere that you can find it. Now let's get back to resuming this video. It's the New York Knicks versus the Chicago Bulls. I believe Josh Hart is a game time decision in this one. Other than that, everyone is expected to play. Had a look across the board. There's probably 2 players that I'm really interested in. Josh Hart. Well, there's 3 players. Let's not lie here. But Josh Hart, I'm not loving too much, but the hit rates are great. So his first quarter assist props 1.5. He's now covered this in 7 consecutive games, 8 out of his last 10, which is excellent. He's playing almost every minute of the game, so he's going to get some opportunities out there. It's only him and Jalen Brunson creating that offense. So yeah, I'm not minding this. The Bulls, though, can be a little bit stingy. They do allow a lot of assists, but to power forward, it's not the best matchup. But, positionless basketball, Josh Hart is a shooting guard, small forward, power forward, and sometimes a center. Who knows? So, yeah, I don't mind this play for Josh Hart. The only reason I'm a little bit hesitant to bet on it is because I'm looking at the same play for Jalen Brunson. So I'm looking at Jalen Brunson's over 1.5 first quarter assists. So Jalen Brunson, he's covered this in 8 out of his last 10 games. The odds for it have already started to move. Minus 179. I don't think that's right, though. I think you can find better odds for it. But let's just say if this line was at 2.5, I wouldn't take it. I'm going to bet the Josh Hart line. If this stays at 1.5 and I can find better odds, I might bet both. But he's covered this in 8 of his last 10. Obviously, the Bulls allow the 8th most assists in the NBA, and in head-to-head matchups, he's killed it in his last 2 with 4 and 3, but he has only versed them once this season. And in that game, he had 3 assists in the first quarter. So, yeah, I'd definitely take the 1.5 for Jalen Brunson. The 2.5, I'd probably be a little bit hesitant to take. Yeah, I am liking that. The other prop for Brunson I'm liking is just his assist prop. Now, this line has already moved, so 7.5. When I had an earlier look at it, it was at 6.5. But obviously, those lines probably wouldn't have been great. So, if you look at for him to get 7.5 assists, he's only hitting 4 of his last 10. You look at the 6.5 assists, that changes to 7 out of his last 10. And in head-to-head matchups, he had covered in 3 of his last 4. And if you take the 7.5, he has covered in his last 2 games. So his last game against the Chicago Bulls, 13 assists in that game. So, yeah, the 7.5 doesn't worry me as much. Well, it does worry me a little bit, actually. I'm not going to lie. It does worry me. I think it still could be worth a play, but it's not as arousing as the 6.5 was. So I'll do some line shopping. If I can find it at 6.5, I'll tip it. But at 7.5, I better be getting some crazy odds for it. That's all I'm going to say. Now, the next one in this game, I'm liking something on DeMar DeRozan. Well, it's not just something. I'm looking at taking his PRA, to be honest. And I'm taking his PRA because someone like DeMar DeRozan can fill up points, rebounds, and assists. He can pretty much do it all. And why do I like his PRA? One, Outlier telling us it's an EV play, positive EV, so I do like that. The matchup is difficult. The Knicks are a pretty good defensive team. But DeMar DeRozan has covered this line in 6 consecutive games now, 7 out of his last 10, averaging 34.1 PRA in that span. The line in this game set at 33.5 for DeMar DeRozan. Head-to-head matchups, he's covered this in 3 out of his last 4 games against the New York Knicks. He recorded 35 PRA the last time they played, 28 points, 3 rebounds, and 4 assists. Yeah, so I do like this play for DeMar DeRozan. The one question that I have in my mind is, like, what are the Bulls playing for? So they're sitting 9th in the East. The Hawks are the 10th. They've got a very similar record. The Nets are 11th, but they're not going to catch up. So the Bulls are pretty much guaranteed to go into the play-in tournament. They're probably they're fighting for a home elimination game, I guess, against the Hawks. So you could say that there is a lot on the line there. But yeah, DeMar DeRozan, his PRA, that's definitely one that I'm considering at the moment. So we jump into the next one now. It is the San Antonio Spurs versus the New Orleans Pelicans. So for this game, Zion is a game time decision. For the Spurs, they've already rested everybody that they could. So they're sitting for the season. So a lot of the player props are available, but they're not available for the Pelicans. CJ McCollum, Trey Murphy, probably the main ones I'd be considering once the lines do come out. Hopefully we see Herb Jones rebound prop at 5.5 again, because I'll gobble that up all over the place. CJ McCollum, if his points prop, if it's around 21.5, 22.5, I'll take it. In the matchup, it might be close to 24. So for this game, there's only one player that I'm looking at, and that's for Victor Wembanyama. And I'm looking at his assist prop. I like what I'm seeing here for assists. 4.5 is the line. Now, he's covered this in 7 out of his last 10 games. The matchup against the Pelicans is a good one. They allow the 5th most assists to centers on the season. He's shown us that he can get it done in the past. He had 7 assists the last time they played, 4 assists the first time he played them, but that was a 36-point loss. The line in this game is only 10.5, so we shouldn't see a 30-point drubbing. But the game where he had 7 assists, the Spurs only lost by 1. So I'll probably see them losing by 5 to 10 points, I'd say. Keeping this game nice and competitive. Wemby's usage rate, it's only gone up. So they've rested Sohan and Vassell for the rest of the season. They had pretty high usage rates. It's only Wemby and Trey Jones who are going to be handling the ball. And we've seen, check this out, his potential assists, 8.1 over his last 10, but his recent trend, it's just going up and up and up. It's in the right direction. Last year, and 12 potential assists. For a line of 4.5, what I'd want to see is at least 10 potential assists for Wemby, and he's been clearing that as of late. So I do like the trend of this. His usage rate's going to be high. His minutes are very good, into the mid-30s now. So I'm backing Wemby to get a lot of assists in this game. So 4.5, I'm considering maybe taking a 7 as a ladder, but we'll see where I land with that one. But I do like Wemby. Jumping into the next game, it's Toronto Raptors versus the Milwaukee Bucks. Gary Trent Jr. is a game-time decision. Dame Lillard's a game-time decision as well. On RotoWire, there's a lot of people in grey. Who the hell knows who's going to play in this game? But what I know is I'm only really considering one player. So, and I'm looking at RJ Barrett. I did go through all his props, but the one I'd say I like the most is his assist prop. So the line's at 3.5. He has covered this in 8 of his last 10 games. The matchup against the Bucks is not a difficult one, I would say, but it's not an easy one either. But RJ Barrett, with his high usage rate, I'm expecting to see, should be able to clear this. So he's covered in 8 of his last 10, averaging 5 assists a game, which is great. He's yet to verse the Bucks since he joined the Toronto Raptors with his increased usage rate, but the Bucks have improved defensively since Doc Rivers took over, but they're no machine on the defensive end, especially as of late. They're dropping games they should be winning. But he's covered in 8 of his last 10, so I like that. Going through his potential assists, he's averaging 8.8 potential assists for a line of 3.5. I'd like to see at least eight potential assists for RJ Barrett. His last game back, when he came back from the layoff, he had 3 weeks off, came back, 17-point loss against the Los Angeles Lakers, but he had 12 potential assists and 6 actual assists. So if he can get even 10 potential assists, I think he can cover this 3.5 with ease. So yeah, I do like his assist prop. I know there's a few people out there who are going to take his points prop at 18.5. It's equally just as great. 8 out of his last 10 games, averaging 22.3 points per game. If Gary Trent Jr. doesn't play, then I think this is an excellent prop because I don't have too many offensive options out there. So I think this is a pretty good play, to be honest. But he's going to get his opportunities, right, to score and get his assists. I just think the assist one will probably be sweat free because you're not really depending on his shooting. He can go a bit hot and cold at times, but he has been shooting quite well over this 10-game stretch. I got to tell you, 56% from the field. So I might even take a play at his points prop as well. So I'll look into both of those. But for this particular game, Barrett is the only one that I'm considering. I thought about maybe Giannis 10 assists, but tried that last time. Finished on 8. Dame could be coming back as well, and that could fuck a lot of things up. So yeah. The next game is the Los Angeles Clippers versus the Memphis Grizzlies. Now, I couldn't find anything in this game that I was overly interested in. Sorry, not the Memphis Grizzlies. Memphis Grizzlies versus Detroit Pistons, not the Clippers. My bad. So for this game, Cade Cunningham's out, so I've got no interest in betting on Detroit. For Memphis, everybody is out. So you'd have to dive really deep to find out which one of these you'd be interested in playing. Based on my strategy and how I'm picking picks, looking at their form, how they've gone against the opponent and stuff like that, and even the position matchup, that's not going to work on a game like this because half of these Memphis Grizzlies players, I don't even know who they are. For Detroit, you would assume Jaden Ivey would have a big game, but he actually sucks, especially when Cade Cunningham's not there. He doesn't play very well. Every now and then he has a great game, but I think I'd lean to the under for him, but not with too much confidence, right? So, yeah, I'll take a pass on this game. The Golden State Warriors are up against the Dallas Mavericks, though. Andrew Wiggins, Jonathan Kuminga, their game time decisions in this game. There's very limited markets at the moment. It's only Gafford, Derek Jones Jr., and PJ Washington. So I don't know if that means something could be up with Luka or Kyrie, or they just want to wait to see the Wiggins and Kuminga news to determine what the lines are going to be for those guys. But I still have a play that I do like, and this is going to be a single play, but also some potentially a high value play. So I'm looking at, and it says this bet's no longer available. Oh, goodness gracious. So I was going to take you through PJ Washington, but it looks like, I'm just going to refresh the screen. It looks like they removed his markets now to bet on. Let me reload this thing up. Yeah. So they're taking that off the board. They've taken the Dallas and the Memphis and the Golden State Warriors game off the board in the interim. But I'll let you know what it was. So it's PJ Washington to go over 2.5 3-pointers made, and I was going to ladder that up to 5. Now PJ Washington, I watch every Dallas game. Luka and Kyrie, fascinating for me to watch, and surprisingly, that Dallas team's playing defense. So if there was a team I wanted to win it would probably be Dallas. So I do watch every single game that they play, and what I've noticed, well, I've known this for quite some time, but PJ Washington takes so many open for this team. He's got the green light to just keep shooting and shooting and shooting. He was going through a terrible stretch where he was just missing everything. There was a game at 0 for 11, I think. And they just told him to keep shooting and keep shooting. Eventually it'll turn. I'm telling you now, I think it's turned. He hit 5 3-pointers and he's making the same number of shots, the same type of shots. He's just making them fall. he'll take about 9 to 10 3-pointers in this game against the Warriors, I believe. Luke and Kyrie should attract all the attention, and he's shooting him at about 30-something%. So I'm very confident he'll cover 2.5. But if he does shoot well the way he did that in his last game, he could easily get to 5. So I'm thinking of laddering his 3-point prop up to 5. Obviously, you just got to wait for those markets to become available. So keep an eye out for that one. Into the next game, though, it's the Phoenix Suns versus the Minnesota Timberwolves. This is going to be a very competitive game, I think. Grayson Allen's a game-time decision, but he looks like he's going to play. Nurkic is a game-time decision as well, and he's questionable. So there's 2 players that I want to look at in this game. One of them I've taken before, and I'm thinking about taking it again, and it's Anthony Edwards under 8.5 points in the first quarter. So Anthony Edwards doesn't have the most difficult matchup. He could see some Grayson Allen, a bit of Bradley Beal on him. And I think he has a good game. But Anthony Edwards has had a lot of great games, but he's still had a lot of poor first quarters. So looking at this first quarter prop, under 8.5 is cashed on 59% of his games this year, 70% of his games in his last 20, 8 of his last 10 games, and 7 consecutive games now. He's gone under 8.5 points in the first quarter. I did take this bet a couple of games ago, and it was pretty sweat-free. Didn't get very close to it at all. And at minus 113 odds, I like that too. In head-to-head matchups, he's gone under in 3 of his last 5 against the Phoenix Suns. He's only played them once this season, and in that game, he only scored 2 points in the first quarter. So, yeah, that's one play that I'm leaning on. The Suns, 4-point favorites in this game as well. And this is a road game for the Phoenix Suns, which doesn't really make too much of a difference to me. But let's check his last 10 road games. It might change my mind. So he's still gone under in 6 of his last 10 road games. 8.5 is his average in those road games, though, which is a lot better than his average in his last 10, which is 5.8. So at home, he's been a slow starter. On the road, he's probably a little bit better. So this could be a little bit more sweaty than I think it's going to be, but I'll research this a little bit more, and you'll see by the pin comments whether I'm going to bet on it or not. But that's definitely one play that I'm considering because the hit rate is excellent. The other player I'm looking at is Grayson Allen. So I'm looking at Grayson Allen I'm looking at his points and assists, but I'm also looking at a first quarter play for Grayson Allen too. So points and assists, that line for him is at 14.5. The matchup is a difficult one. Timberwolves are a great defensive team. I get all that, but that's been all factored into this line. This line's a little bit lower than what it has been as of late. Now, Grayson Allen has cashed this line in 8 out of his last 10 games, which is great to see. He's averaging 19.4 points plus assists in that span. In head-to-head matches, only played the Timberwolves once this year. 14 points, 2 assists covering this line. So I do like that. I especially like it more because Bradley Beal has really settled into this playmaker role. Bradley Beal's shot attempts have fallen off a cliff. Grayson Allen's shot attempts have gone up slightly. So he's playing 33 minutes a night, 10.5 field goals attempted. In this last game against the Minnesota Timberwolves, 27 minutes and only 9 shots. So he's playing more minutes. He's taking more shots now than when he was the last time he versed the Minnesota Timberwolves. So I don't mind this for Grayson Allen, points plus assists. The other play that I don't mind for Grayson Allen is his first quarter points prop. So this line's at 3.5 and it's plus money. And I love plus money. He's hit this in 7 out of his last 10 games. And in those games, he's playing almost 10 minutes in the first quarter. So I'm going to look into this a bit further to look at how many shots he's taking and all that type of stuff. But in his last matchup against them, he scored 6 points in the first quarter. That could have been just 2 3-pointers. I'm not too sure, but I'll look into it. So for Grayson Allen to cover this, I'd want to see at least 3 to 4 shot attempts in the first quarter. If I see he's been averaging that, this is probably going to be a play that I take because Grayson Allen is their best 3-point shooter that they have. I think is the best 3-point shooter on the league this year. I could be wrong, but that's a good play that I like. The other play that I'm considering is for Bradley Beal. So it's 2 for Bradley Beal. So the first one is his assist prop. The line's at 5.5. He's cashed this in 9 out of his last 10 games. He's been, like I said, he's taken on this distributor role for the Phoenix Suns. He's worked out that they'll perform better if he's not one of their key scorers. So 9 out of the last 10 that he's covered, he's only getting 10.8 assists per potential assist per game. It's a little bit lower than I would like it to be. For a line of 5.5, I'd like to see 11 to 12 potential assists per game. But Bradley Beal is passing to the number 1 3-point shooter in the league this year in Grayson Allen. Devin Booker, easy money sniper. Like, he's not passing the ball to shit players. So I guess that helps. So his assist prop is a nice one. He's yet to verse this team this year. Matchup-wise, it is difficult. The Wolves allow the second fewest assists in the league, which is why I think we see a line lower here for Bradley Beal of 5.5, because he's cashed 6.5 assists in like 7 out of his last 10 games. So that's where I would naturally put the line. But I think given the difficult matchup, it's been set at 5.5. So it's not a trap. It's not too good to be true because there's a few things you need to factor in. But the other play that I'm considering is his rebounds plus assist prop, because his rebounds have been quite strong as well. In some of the games where he doesn't kill it on the assist side of things, he's done pretty well rebounding the ball. So the line's at 10.5, better odds, plus 100. So his assist one alone is like minus 130. If you put rebounds plus assists, you get plus 100. He hasn't been hitting his rebound prop as consistently, but you put those things together and you still cash this in 9 of his last 10, averaging 11.8 rebounds plus assists. Rudy Gobert, Yusuf Nurkic, hopefully going to be battling each other all game. I think my only concern with this is Bradley Beal's defending Anthony Edwards. Probably won't be able to get too many rebounds, but that's one thing I'm considering. But the hit rate over his last games is excellent. 9 out of his last 10, and the odds are good too. And now we jump into our last game. It's a Utah Jazz versus the Los Angeles Clippers. Kawhi Leonard is still out. Collins, Markin, and Clarkson, they're all still out as well. Walker Kessler is a game time decision, but he's not moving any lines. Only play that I'm considering taking for this one is a play that I've taken, I think, 3 times now, and that is for Keontae George to go under his PRA. So the line is now at 26.5. It was 27.5 a little bit earlier when I was looking at it. But he's gone under this PRA line in 10 consecutive games. And I know Markkanen and Collins and Clarkson are out. So if we just say these are the 3 games that those 3 players have been out, Keontae George has gone under in all 3 anyway. Now, he has had a difficult matchup in 2 of those. Minnesota and Cleveland is a difficult matchup. He's up against Clippers today. It's an easier matchup, but it's still not easy full stop. So Keontae George to go under 26.5. I'm looking at that. So he's gone under 3 straight without those key players. He's gone under this line in 10 consecutive games. In his last 20, he's gone under 14 of those games. So he hasn't been shooting the ball very well at all. The Clippers, they're 13.5 point favorites. I don't think they cover, but hopefully they do. So if they blow the Utah Jazz out, that'd be a great look for us. Colin Sexton's still playing, so he demands the ball quite a bit. So yeah, this is a play that it served me quite well in the past, and it's another one of those things. I'll just keep playing it, right? Similar to Michael Porter Jr. Took him yesterday because I always take him, and it's delivering. There's a few favorite plays that I'll pretty much take in most matchups and scenarios, and Keontae George under in his PRA is definitely one of them. But if you're looking at his last 10, right, a lot of it is green regardless, I think. So if we look at his points plus assists, he's got under in 8 of his last 10. If you look at his points plus rebounds, he's gone under in 10 straight. And if you look at his rebounds plus assists, he's gone under in 8 out of his last 10. So the assist prop is probably in isolation, or maybe it's his rebound prop. Hang on. Points plus rebounds. So points plus rebounds is the main one. Well, it's really just his points, to be honest. His points prop is the main one that's letting him down, I think. Oh, he's cashed out 3 in his last 10. Well, this is why I'm looking at the PRA, because in order to achieve his PRA, not only does he have to have a strong scoring game, he also needs strong contributions in his rebounding and his assists, and he hasn't been able to put all 3 of those together in his last 10. So he's had games where he's had strong assist numbers, lower points. He's had games where he's covered his points line, but in those games, fuck all rebounds and not that many assists. So he hasn't been able to put all 3 together. So I am liking the under here for Keontae George. I almost talked myself into taking it already. So that's a wrap on this one, Kings and Queens. Be sure to like, subscribe, comment, show me some love. I'm feeling better. The COVID killer. The weekend is coming. A lot of NBA to watch. I'm pretty keen, pretty excited for it. Be sure to hit those links in the description as well. Sign up to Outlier, free 7-day trial. I get a little bit of a kickback if you do sign up, not going to lie. I bet US, they've got great deposit matches at the moment. They even got some promos for that NCAA stuff. So be sure to check those out. Make the most out of the free bonus bets and money that you'll get by using them. And I'll catch you guys in the next one. Peace!
Sub to the channel cause your boy's getting busy. Coming to you live from the west side of Sydney. We've got the free picks and the juice on the daily. It's all free, you don't even have to pay me.